So the first card you have for your past is the Knight of Pentacles. So yes, I'm just seeing here that you've been around someone who's been a bit competitive actually. And yeah, they're competitive when it comes to money and material things. So it's a kind of person that comes around and says, oh, what kind of shoes are you wearing? What kind of handbag do you have? What kind of car do you drive? And oh, I've got a better one, and blah, blah, and this costs this, and all this kind of rubbish, all this kind of competitive conversations that I really hate myself. And, you know, they tried to get you into this conversation or these conversations about these things, and you just didn't want to get into this with them. You're able to just rise above this, which is fantastic. That's what I would do too. I wouldn't bother with that rubbish. And I'm just seeing that someone, this is someone who's really well dressed, obviously. You know, they really care about their appearance, and there's nothing wrong with caring about your appearance, but it's when people get competitive and snobby and they kind of think that they're better than the other person and they try and have some sort of contest about it. That's when it's really, it can be nasty and difficult and horrible. And yes, they're a neat and tidy person. They're all dressed up, and I'm just seeing, you can just see what they look like. Maybe they have designer clothes, and yes, but they judge other people. That's what I'm seeing. They go around judging people. But no, you weren't going to be dragged into this competitiveness, so that's really good. I'm glad. The next card you have for your past is the Ten of Cups, which I love. I love this card. This person in the Knight of Pentacles could have been a family member, actually. I am seeing that you've been spending time around family, and mostly this time you spent with them has been really good. These are your true loved ones. They're the family that you love and, you know, care about unconditionally. And yes, you've been happy around these people at this time you've been spending with them, apart from this one person, this judgy person. But again, you know, you didn't let this person get to you. It was like, you know, they were a fly and you just kind of swatted them away and you got on with things. So that's really fantastic. You've dealt with this really, really well. That's what I'm seeing. So the last card you have your past is the Two of Wands. So at this time, I'm seeing that, you know, you were looking ahead to a lot of work that you had to do. So you were looking at the work you had ahead of you, and you knew this work was going to come along quickly. But you also knew that you could see the end of this as well. You can see off into the horizon at the end of all of this work. So you knew there was going to be a reward at the end. So, you know, you were motivated by what was at the end of this work. And, you know, I'm just seeing also you're carefully planning things. And this could be a project outside of work, but it's something to do with work. You were definitely doing the right thing by planning this, because, you know, things could have gotten out of control in your future, or they might do if you weren't planning things really carefully at this time. And, you know, this is all stopping you from being overwhelmed because you know that you have a lot of work in your future, and, you know, you're just really planning carefully to make sure things don't get out of control. That's what I'm seeing. So the first card you have in your present is the Ten of Wands. And I'm just seeing this as an internal burden, actually. It's not like, I mean, you could be out of control. You could have so much work on that you're burdened, but I'm not seeing that's what it is in this case. I'm just seeing that you're experiencing some sort of anxiety, and there are some things and some people around you who could be making you feel really stressed. But actually the way that you feel is out of proportion to what's actually going on. So a lot of this stuff is going on inside your head and in your emotions. So you're feeling a lot more stressed than actually you need to be. So just really be careful, pace yourself, take your time, really think about how you can de-stress things, and, you know, just realize that a lot of this is going on in your head, and it really isn't all that bad than you're imagining. I know it's hard to say that, you know, when you're in that situation, it is really difficult. But just, you know, if this is before this time comes, if you see this time coming, you know, you've got this work ahead of you, all this stuff ahead of you, so much to think about. Just remember that a lot of this is in your emotions and in your thoughts. It's a lot more than is actually happening. I hope that makes sense. The next card you have your present is the Three of Swords. Yes, I'm sorry you have this card. I'm just seeing that this could be about you actually hurting someone around you, and you may not realize you're doing this, but, you know, maybe with this stress you're feeling and this anxiety, it could be making you a bit difficult and a bit moody, and there's someone close to you who is feeling that, you know, by your behavior, you've really hurt them. And, you may have lashed out at them or been angry or something like that. But it's more about the way you're acting than what you're saying, I'm seeing. So, if this resonates and you know who this is who's been upset by something you've done or said, please speak to them. Just explain that you're stressed, maybe apologize, because I am seeing that someone's really upset. And I just think, if you explain it to them, they'll understand. That's what I do. They're an understanding person. The last card you have, your present, is the Four of Pentacles. So yes, this is for people in a relationship actually, and I'm just seeing that your partner could be going through some money problems at this time, and they're hanging on to what they have. They have very little, and they're trying to hang on to what they have, and they're really stressed about money. And this is obviously impacting on you because it's impacting on you practically because they can't go out with you to all these places you used to go to and things like that. But also because they're stressed, that's impacting on you as well. But I'm seeing that you are there for them. You're a loyal person, you're a loyal partner, and you're in this for the long haul. You're there with them. You're not going to leave them or do anything like that. So yes, the first card you have for your future is the Ten of Pentacles. So again, for people in a relationship, you really, really care about your partner. That's what I'm seeing. And this is about building. This is about building with your loved ones. So you're there with, with your partner, you're building with them. You're in it for the long haul. You know that money can go up and down, things can go wrong. And you're just, you're there with them. You're just very loyal. And, this person's really lucky to have you if this resonates with you. That's what I'm seeing. The next card you have for your future is the Five of Wands. So at this time, you're going to be just sorting through, this sounds horrible, but you're going to be sorting through people. So there are some people in your life that aren't supporting you, and you're just going to go through and you're just going to decide not to deal with some of these people. That's what I'm seeing. It sounds really cutthroat, but really there are some fantastic people in your life, but there are some that don't care about you. Yes, it sounds negative, but it is actually positive because your life will be a lot more peaceful without these people. So the last card you have for your future is the Hanged Man. So yes, for people in a relationship, again, I'm seeing this is actually a small warning that I'm not saying that your partner's doing anything wrong, but they could be so stressed about this financial situation that maybe they might find it really hard to take action. So yes, of course, be kind to them. Don't say, hurry up and get a job, do this. Well, don't be like that. Be kind to them because, you love them, and I know you will. You want to help them, you care about them, but just make sure they don't fall into a trap of being stuck where they are. Just gently maybe point out, I saw this job over here, or, so-and-so has this idea about something over here, or just very, very gently talk to them. Don't help them out, but don't let them become stuck. So I'm just sensing that you've been through some sort of time where, you came out of a really bad situation and, you're feeling not too good mentally and emotionally. And excuse my throat again, I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that. Don't get a fright. People complain when I cough. I'm trying my best. Oh, I've got a croaky voice again. Okay, I'll keep going. Yeah, so you're feeling not so good in your head and in your heart and emotionally. And then you came out of this situation. I'm seeing there was a group of people or a person at the center of a group who weren't treating you well. They were treating you really badly. They might have been bullying you, or they might have been judging you, or something like that. And you're in the middle of this with these people or this person at the center of it. And then you came out of that and you felt a lot more positive. And, you could see, a more positive future. You had more hope after you got out of this. And I'm not seeing that, you got out of this permanently. You're backwards and forwards with this specific person and these people surrounding it. But at this time in your past, you got away by physically leaving or physically moving out of a situation so that, your emotional state could improve. Yes, so the next card you have, your past, is the Seven of Swords. Yes, this is a tricky card. yeah, so even though you were feeling a lot more hopeful, there was still someone around you who was a bit two-faced, actually. They were a bit pretending to be nice, but they weren't, and they were speaking behind people's backs, and they were negative, and they were difficult. That kind of person who's very negative and difficult, but you can't quite, catch them out. They're that kind of person. And this is the Seven of Swords, is always like that. There's some sort of tricky behavior going on. I'm just seeing this person as well at the center of this drama with these difficult people, with this one person at the center. And I'm seeing this as a woman, actually. This person likes to play one person off another, and they like to kind of be at the center of all this horrible drama. They like to talk about people, and this is just what this person was doing with you, but they're like that with a lot of people. They have their favorites, they play favorites, and then they don't like them. All this kind of horrible rubbish was going on. And you knew this, but they were a little bit, because they're so tricky, you weren't sure exactly what was going on from time to time. Sometimes you realized, sometimes you didn't. And, you were just very quiet about this person as well, because you knew that, whatever you said, they'd repeat what you said to other people, maybe take what you said out of context and pretend that you said a different thing. They're just horrible, basically, this horrible person. It could be it's someone you can't get away from. It's someone that you feel that you can't get away from. You probably can, but for some reason you feel that you can't. So this could be someone in the workplace that you have to see every day, or it could be a relative that you have to keep on seeing, or it could be someone you're even living with, or it's someone close to you that you have to keep on seeing all the time. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. You just weren't able to avoid this person. I'd like to avoid this person. They sound horrible. The last card you have your past is the Knight of Cups. And I'm just seeing that, I'm seeing you defending someone, actually. Someone who was good, or something that was good, against a critical person. It could be the same person, again, all the way through your past here. This negative person. So it could be, yeah, it could be the same person in the Seven of Swords. And yeah, there's also something big and positive coming up in your life, though. You haven't just got all this terrible drama. You are looking forward to something in your future. And that was in the Star again. You weren't seeing all terrible stuff going on, even though there was this stuff going on. You had hope. You could see into your future, or you could see this good thing that was coming up. And I am seeing a specific thing coming up, in your life in the second half of next year, actually, I'm seeing. And maybe you know what this is. You're looking forward to this thing. Yeah, this is next year. This is the second half of next year. And you're excited about this thing that's coming up, but you're also a little bit scared. But it's excited. It's an excited kind of scared coming up. So you do have this to look forward to. And you do have a lot of other positive stuff going on in your life, not just this person. But this person just keeps on coming up in this reading, because they're the most difficult thing coming up for you at this time. Yes, the first card you have your present is the Three of Wands. And I'm seeing a lot of newness, new things coming up for you, new people. You're feeling fresh and new for some reason. And, for single people, there is someone very new who you're meeting at this time. They're a new person coming in. And, you're only just getting to know this person, but you're enjoying getting to know them. And, you're enjoying this new fun stage where you're both, presenting the best of yourselves. And, that's what's happening. You're presenting the best of yourself. They're presenting the best of themselves. And, I'm not saying you're not genuine, but you're just, enjoying this nice time when you're on your best behavior, I suppose you could say. And, I'm just feeling really good, really positive when I see this. And you're also looking to the future again. I keep seeing, you're still positive, you're still hopeful, you're still looking to the future. And you're imagining a future with this person as well. You're imagining, what the future could be like with this person. The next card you have your present is the Four of Pentacles. So yes, I'm seeing that you're protecting yourself. You're protecting yourself from this person in the Knight of Cups. You're protecting your sense of self from this person, because this person, all the way through this horrible negative person, they like to pick holes in things that people say, and they're just negative. They're just difficult. And, you've tried to talk to this person, I'm seeing, but they don't listen. And you could have even tried joking with them or saying something in a really joking way with this person. But you're just realizing that, they're not going to stop. They're just who they are. So there's no point in, if someone's unreasonable and they're like that, they're determined to be dramatic and be around this kind of thing, there's no point in talking to them. So just move on. Just try not to talk to them. If you have to see them every day, just say the minimum you need to say to them. Just say hello, goodbye. Yes, it's a nice day, it's raining, or whatever. Just don't get into it any further with this person. It's just not worth it. So yes, the last card you have for your present is the King of Wands. So you're holding back with what you want to say to someone. This is probably the same person, or it could be something positive you want to say to someone. But I am seeing that, there's something you want to say to someone, and it's something that needs to be said. It really needs to be said. So it's a conversation that, maybe you're holding back on, you're not sure kind of what the reaction will be. But yes, this needs to be said. So whether you do say this or not, I don't know whether you will or you won't. But I think that, yes, somebody has to say something, and I don't think anyone else is going to. Yes, for your future, the first card you have is the Five of Swords. So you are coming into a time where, yes, you're just really tired. Because you've been battling this difficult person. And I'm seeing there's one major person, and they have, a little sidekick. They have these little minions around them that kind of do what they say. And yes, they're difficult along with this person as well. They're not as bad as the main person, the queen bee in the center of the whole thing. And, you're going to just realize that, again, they won't change. You've probably already realized this, but it is very draining. It's very exhausting. And yes, if you've already said whatever you needed to be said, just try and move on. There's no point in dealing with this person. You need to preserve your sanity. That's what I'm saying. Don't deal with these kinds of people. Yes, so the next card you have for your future is the Queen of Wands. So yes, this is telling you, this is a message to be sensitive toward yourself, because this person isn't being sensitive toward you, and the people around them aren't. You need to preserve yourself. You need to take care of yourself. That's what you need to do. Let this go. Take care of yourself. Do lovely things for yourself. Put nice people and nice things around yourself as a barrier against these kinds of people. That's what I'm seeing, and that's what this card's telling you to do. The last card you have in your future is the Four of Cups. So again, this is telling you not to focus so much on the negative, on the difficult people. They are there, I know, and it is draining. It is very hard to be around this kind of person. But you also have 3 full cups, or you have 4 cups. You have 3 full cups and another one that's being presented to you. So you have a lot of really good things that are being presented to you, that are around you. But, you're not seeing them. You're just seeing this negative person and this negative stuff. And I can understand that, because it does, when someone says horrible things, when things go on, it's hard to get those things out of your head. I know that. But you've got to really make an effort to do this, because there are good things around you. And, just try and focus on as many positive things as you can. There are positive things around you to focus on. That's what I'm seeing. So try your best just to put a barrier between you and this horrible person and her little minions, and get some lovely people around you, get some nice things around you, do some fun things, and just insulate yourself from this person. That's what I'm seeing.